So here's the thing, Sammy, and I want everybody to understand this right now. And I'm not going to go back and look at all the old tweets or respond to everybody. But anybody who saw my promo that I cut with Seth Rollins, I was out there, I was rolling. A lot of Chicago people came after me. They said, oh, the only thing you got wrong is that the Bears never played at McCaskey Park, which is historically inaccurate because this is the story that I told. 1948. I know the year. The Chicago Cardinals' home field was McCaskey Park. My dad, who was just out of World War II, was living in Chicago, working at a bar on State Street or Michigan Avenue or somewhere like that. And he'd tell me, like, we couldn't afford to go to Bears games at Wrigley Field or wherever they were playing. I think it was Wrigley Field. I don't remember where the Bears were playing in the 40s. Assume it was Wrigley Field. It was before Soldier Field. Soldier Field didn't become their home field till like 70. So he would tell me, he's like, we would get opportunities to go to McCaskey to see the Bears. And he goes, and we would sit because the Bears had a section. So I think like the Bears had a section at McCaskey and the Cardinals had a section, but the Cardinals were not as popular. So he's like, we would be in the Cardinals section rooting for the Bears. And that's what we were doing. And that's the story. And, you know, you got to understand, I'm doing this promo with people yelling in my ear, like, rap, you're taking up too much of network air. And so, yes, for the accuracy of that story, the Bears did play at McCaskey Park. Were they the home team? They were not. But they played football games at McCaskey. Don't challenge me on this, people. Don't think that I'm going to sit here and not know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Sammy, let's go ahead and start the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Adam Ray.
It's Hester trying to work it back to the middle. Gets past the first wave, and here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. And no flag, 92 yards.
The sickest Chicago Bears and fantasy football podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
It's Wednesday night. You know what that means? It is time for Take It to the Rank, even if we are a little bit late. And I apologize to everybody. It's been a busy day here. I was doing a couple of podcasts, just filming one with David Hellman from foxsports.com. Talking about the Chicago Bears and everything. We ran a little bit late, so I apologize to everybody. It's not soccer practice yet. I still got an hour and a half. We also have the Challenge All-Stars tonight. Do Adam and Steve make it to the final? In addition to that, AEW has been on a roll. I hope you've been watching that. And, of course, the Tape Never Lies Network will be going on. Hey, Sammy, can you pull up this note from Scottish Bear about his grandfather? So this is So Scottish Bear's Adam, my grandfather, was a war hero. He escaped from Dunkirk. He shipped out to Burma and caused carnage. I actually want to get one of these days. We're gonna get Scottish Bear on to talk about that. That is pretty amazing. My dad was in World War II. He was in the Pacific Islands. They were island jumping, going on to Japan. And he was actually on the boats going out there when we did what we did. In any event, I'm sorry, I'm tweeting this out, by the way, forgot. So thanks for everybody for being here. A lot to actually get over. There's been the NFL owners meetings were this week. A lot of interesting news came out of that. We'll be talking about it, the stadium issue and all that stuff. We're going to try to track down our guy Mike from Windy City Sports Cards to talk to him, talk about some sports cards. But also wanted to start off, Greg Braggs will not be here tonight, which I kind of was hoping he was because we lost, and I won't spend too much time on this, but we did lose a great Hollywood actor last night on April Fool's Day, which I thought, I'm like, somebody better, it was Aaron Nagler's tweet, and I go, you better not be making a joke out of this. This better, I wanted him to still be alive, but Val Kilmer passed away. Val Kilmer, when you think of people or actors who had so many iconic roles. I remember I go all the way back with him, like Real Genius, Top Secret, Real Genius, Top Gun. Those were his first three movies. And of course he did Willow the movie with Huckleberry. What was it? Tombstone. Top Gun, of course. Heat. He was Batman. We don't talk about how great he was as a Batman. A lot of cool stuff. So that was I would have loved to have talked to Greg Braggs about that. And so what a huge loss. What a bummer. I'm gonna go out. I've put this in the comments. I think everybody's been like, what is the number one Val Kilmer movie that you're gonna watch in the next couple of days? For me, it's gonna be Top Secret, maybe Real Genius. Top Secret for sure. Put it in the comments. What Val Kilmer movie are you going to go out there and watch to celebrate his great legacy? And speaking of legacy, there was a lot of news over the last couple of days about the Chicago Bears and what they've got going on. And some interesting things have been revealed. The interviews that Kevin Warren has done, George McCaskey himself have been speaking with the media. And some of the things that we're looking at, number one is that the Hallis family, the McCaskey family, will continue to be the owners of the Chicago Bears. And this comes after Virginia McCaskey passed away recently. There was some speculation about what the family was deciding to do, but I'd always been steadfast in saying that I truly believe that it was going to stay in the Hallis McCaskey family. Did not think that there would be any sort of any change of course. There was no chance they were going to sell this team. Listen, they went out there and they bought land in Arlington Heights because they plan on being the owners of the Bears for quite some time. And this has been something that we've been talking about on the show for a long time, is the Bears. I really like the ownership group. I know a lot of you constantly ask the McCaskey family to sell the team, to do all that. But I think that when you look at what the McCaskies have done over, let's say, since the end of the season, they have done everything that you could have asked an ownership group to do. You wanted them to fire Matt Eberflus, despite the fact that he probably had multiple years left on his contract. They're eating that contract. They got rid of him. They spent the money to bring in Ben Johnson. That is happening. You can't be upset at them. They rebuilt the offensive line. They brought in two pieces on the defensive line. The McCaskey family has done everything that we have asked them to do, and we should feel great that they're going to continue on owning the Chicago Bears, because based on what they've done since they've hired Ryan Poles, I would even go back, even at the end of the Ryan Pace era, the McCaskey family has been answering the charge. They've been opening up their pocketbooks. And I know that you sit there and a lot of people are talking about like they're raising ticket prices, which they are. You cannot expect them to go out there and spend all the money that they're planning to spend and not pass it to the consumer. It's unrealistic. If the Bears had kept Matt Eberflus, not done anything in free agency, decided that they're not going to build this, like, you could be upset at them asking for more money. But the fact of the matter is, they're doing everything we're asking them to do. They are going to be the owners of the family, or owners of this team. They're putting their money where their mouth is. We're probably going to have to kick down a little bit as well. And I'm sorry that that's the way. And it also too, like when you have a smaller stadium, like the Bears do, like that's the one thing I kind of really enjoy. I really never want them to have more available seats than they have right now. Like this is something weird or something that we've seen in sports over the last couple of years. And it's really being exemplified right now in Major League Baseball, where you have the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. I still call them the Devil Rays. The A's playing in minor league ballparks. And these ballparks are filled. Like, why wouldn't you rather have these ballparks that are filled to capacity, even at a smaller number, as opposed to what we're seeing out of St. Louis? Hey, remember when St. Louis, when the Cardinal fans decided that they were the greatest fans in all of baseball? I watched the past 3 games of them playing against the Angels. Not a big crowd. I know it's cold, but like greatest fans in baseball, I think not even today. A day game that stadium was empty. And when Logan O'Hoppe hit that grand slam, that crowd was quiet. The Cardinals did win that game, though. I think the Cardinals went on to score like 9 runs in the last. They didn't have the 9th inning at bat. In 2 innings, it was awful. Angels already built through their bullpen. By the way, a quick note on that. For everybody who's now starting to realize that I'm an Angels fan, like, welcome to the show. I've never hidden that. Number 2, the Angels have been on the East Coast, and next week they will be on the East Coast. But by and large, most of my Angel tweets do not start until 9 o'clock Central Time because the Angels play on the West Coast, which is why a lot of you probably don't see my tweets about the Angels because you're already in bed or logged off Twitter and aren't paying attention. And when they win, it's usually midnight Central. So you don't see a lot of it. So don't be put off by the amount of it. Like, it just happened to be there in Chicago and now St. Louis. So you got a chance to see it. But the original point is the McCaskey continues. They will own the team for a long time. I think it was George McCaskey even said, plan on it being 100 more years. Plan on it being a number of years. And by the way, there is weirdly, so Ron, bring up Ron's thing about he's an Angels fan too. Weirdly, there's more crossover with the Angels and Chicago sports than you would imagine. And you get this out here, especially. A lot of kids, for those of you who are unaware, the NFL wasn't in Los Angeles for like 25 years. And even those last couple of years that they were here, it was terrible. So you get a lot of people who grow up and they're like, hey, we're fans of the Lakers and the Kings or Ducks, Angels, and whatever team my parents root for, or whatever team I like to play in Madden. I have a neighbor who's a diehard Falcons fan. And I got to ask, are you like from Stone Mountain, Georgia? Or did you just like using Michael Vick and Madden? He's like, I love Michael Vick and Madden, of course. These things happen. So you see that. So there's actually like a lot of crossover, not a ton. My girl, Chelsea, who's in one of my fantasy leagues, who's a friend of mine. She hits it with the Angels, Kings, Bears, which is kind of a weird combination when you think about it. But in any event, the McCaskey family is going to own the Bears for a long, long time. The stadium issue is interesting. It feels like, and our own Greg Braggs has been talking about this for quite some time, is that he truly expects there to be an announcement imminently that the Bears will be breaking ground at Arlington Heights. And for me, and I've backed this up as well, is I truly believe that since day one, it was always going to be Arlington Heights. You do not buy this land to not go out there and build a stadium. It's not possible. So for me, when I look at this, the Bears buy the property in Arlington Heights. They're still trying to figure it out. You got to kind of throw a bone to the city. Like, yeah, what do you guys? What can you guys do for us? Give us a reason why not to utilize this land at Arlington Heights. And I should ask somebody. I should ask one of the Bears insiders. I'm assuming that the land in Lake Forest and the facility that's owned by the team. They're not leasing that because they got a great facility in Lake Forest. But like, there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of development opportunities with the land in Arlington Heights. We see it out here. The parallel that I always draw to it is what the Rams have done with SoFi Stadium, is that they've gone out there and they bought the land. And this was land that was approved to house a stadium for, at the time, it was going to be the Rams, the Raiders, and UCLA. This is back in the 90s. That land had been approved, and then the Rams bolted for St. Louis. The NFL was apprehensive to let Al Davis have control of it, so that he goes to, I think Al Davis left first, and then the Rams left. Then they're like, well, if Al Davis is not going to do it, then we're not going to do it, then we're going to do whatever. But in any event, Stan Kroenke, 25 years later or so, 20 years later, buys that land. I remember people like Bernie Maskey or whoever that guy is with the St. Louis Post was like, oh, this doesn't mean that they're moving to St. Louis. Like, bro, the second he bought that land, the second he bought the team, that team was going to LA. And the second the Bears bought the land in Arlington Heights, they were going to Arlington Heights. They just got to play the dance. They got to go through these things where you're like, I don't know what we're going to do. And then eventually you go out there and you start building your new building. And honestly, it makes the most sense for the Bears because I know that when you take baseball stadiums and put them in the suburbs, like it's a real risk. Like that's not where the traffic is during the week. Like in Chicago, in downtown, it's really easy to get to Wrigley Field. There's actually a neighborhood around it, and it's downtown accessible. So that it's a weird blend that they are able to do that. But like in San Diego, it's in downtown where the people work Monday through Friday, which is why we're able to go out there and draw great crowds all the time because people are there in the city. The NFL, when you put stadiums downtown, outside of our friend Terrence Young, nobody lives downtown. You all live in sort of the burbs. You can live in Roscoe Village or whatever it is. It just makes more sense. There's so many people that live in the Arlington, like if you took whenever you're starting a business, they always say you drop a compass point and then you circle it. And like, where do the people live that'll come to your business? When you do that for downtown Chicago, well, a big part of the compass is water. It's Lake Michigan. Okay. It's one of the reasons why the Tampa Bay Rays, the Devil Rays don't work in St. Pete is because like you put them at a peninsula. Being in Arlington Heights, and they will find opportunities to put mass transit in there. There'll be train stops. They'll make it more accessible, but you'll be able to develop around it. Not only condos, hotels, entertainment districts. They'll probably end up putting in a theater because in Los Angeles, here in Inglewood, I should say, the YouTube theater is there, and there's a real like they have smaller like it's cool. Like you see bands playing more intimate shows there, but like Taylor Swift can come in and play SoFi, but a band like Erasure can go in there and play the YouTube theater or somebody else. You know, that's what's going to be afforded to the Bears, and they're going to own all of it, so they're going to be making all the money, which means they will be able to continue to own the team in the way that they are doing right now, where they're actually putting resources back into the team. They're not hoarding their money. They're hiring good coaches. They're trying to improve the analytics department. They're bringing in an assistant GM. They're spending money on free agents. They're doing everything that we want them to do as fans. And if they get this stadium built in Arlington Heights, then you're not only getting Super Bowls, you're getting Final Fours, and you're getting all sorts of good things, which will end up impacting the Bears positively in the future. This is what everybody should want. I love the idea. And I've talked to Kyle Long about this, about how cool it is to play in a stadium that is in downtown, the downtown area. Like it looks dope. And there's cool things and there's great history and there's the Fog Bowl and all that stuff. But ultimately, we're going to play in Arlington Heights. And that's just the way it's going to be. Bringing this thing from John Centen, this one. Arlington did just get a new mayor. I do believe that the mayor, the guy who won is the guy that we wanted to win, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that we can go out there and just assume now that as Greg Braggs has predicted over the last couple of weeks, that we will have a new stadium in Arlington in the near future. Okay, so that's good news, and expect that. And again, they're probably going to want to put a shovel in the dirt at some point. You can only play this game for so long before eventually you have to be like, all right, well, we're going to do something because it's going to take years to develop. And I know the city's going to be upset when we're moving, and I don't know if the city will break it. I'll be curious to see if the city does what they did in Oakland. Like when Oakland announced they were moving to Las Vegas, the city of Oakland's like, oh, fine, then get out of our stadium. We're not going to let you play here. What the Bears would do, would the Bears play in that tiny little facility in Northwestern? Would they play at Wrigley Field? But yeah, it is, as John is saying, it would be a 3 or 4 year build. And I've seen it happen with SoFi. SoFi got delayed for a year because as they were digging down, they're like, there's more water here than we thought, because they had to dig into the ground because it's right in the flight path of LAX. And I don't know. I I don't assume that there's any restrictions with O'Hare Airport or anything like that. So it won't be a big deal. And other things, something else that jumped out too. The NFL owners meetings, there were a couple of rules passed. And there's a couple of rules passed. So the kickoff rules. I don't know if you guys saw this. There's interesting kickoff rules coming where now if it's a touchback, the ball goes out to the 35-yard line, which to me, at first, I'm like, well, this is dumb because then why wouldn't you just take the touchback? But I guess the teams, they're using this to force the teams to not, for the kickers to be more precise and to not kicking the ball into the end zone. I don't know. I just want to see more kickoffs. Is it too wrong? Is it so wrong to want more kickoffs? And by the way, the Bears were a team that voted against or voted to prohibit the tush push, the brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. And when this all came out, I was very ecstatic because, well, it was the Packers. It was the Packers who were the ones that were leading the charge. And you're like, yeah, the Packers are soft. You got tricked in the playoffs, and now you want to outlaw the thing that made the Eagles win or whatever. Not like the Eagles' offensive line wasn't destroying the Packers anyways, but the Bears were also on board. You're like, oh, George, why are you siding with the Packers? I love George. Everybody knows, I'm a big McCaskey guy. George, don't side with the Packers. That's all I ask. But listen, right now, let's have some fun because that's about all the news that is fit to print. But we're going to bring on our good friend from Windy City Sports Cards. Sammy, roll the animation, and let's bring on our friend.
6 Sports Cards, brought to you by Windy City Sports Cards.
That's right. At Windy City Sports Cards, they specialize in all things Chicago sports. Whether you are a fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Sky, or Fire, my guy Mike has you covered with a wide variety of options and so cool stuff. And by the way, in addition to Chicago-focused items, also anything else in the world of sports, Mike has got you covered, which is why we're so happy to have him on. Mike, it has been too long. How you living?
Good, Adam. Yeah, it's been a little while. Been busy, but likewise, a lot of Bears news obviously coming in the last few weeks, but everything's been good. Yeah. How about you?
I've been doing well. And by the way, I want to thank you. This came in the mail not too long ago. Appreciate
Nice.
this. I still have it in. I still haven't opened it yet because I didn't want to open it until I showed this to you. So I'm going to go thumb through this tonight. Super
That's
stoked
great.
on this, by the way.
That's
I
great.
remember back, like, didn't they used to make like team yearbooks every year? I always felt like I had one as a kid. Like I always had a team yearbook. It was hardcover, like one of the like a graphic novel, and it was always a cool little memento. So I really appreciate you sending me that.
Yeah.
But how are we feeling? So I haven't talked to you since the Bears made all their moves with in free agency. How are you feeling about the team right now?
I feel really good. I think they did a lot of moves that they should have, that they had to fill, right, with the line. And I think what Ryan did is open himself up to have a lot of flexibility going into the draft, right? Which is all you can ask for. I think they had a ton of holes on the line. I think they filled them very good, very well. I think each one of those players, just their leadership alone and their knowledge of the game that they've already experienced is going to be tremendous, I think, for Caleb. Yeah, I'm all good on the line. What they did already, I think it's going to be night and day. I think the run game really hurt last year because they weren't able to do the things they wanted to up front. But I think this will allow them to, really go more into the run game, which is going to open up the pass for him. Dahlman, I think, is going to be a huge asset for Caleb and his development. Just with his skill set and his knowledge of calling out, obviously, the line assignments and all that, I think it's going to go very well for him, because I think he was trying to do too much, last
Yeah.
year. You could see it progress from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. I think they got way more away from that when Thomas Brown took over.
Yeah.
But to have all that on him and to try and learn, obviously becoming a professional in the NFL is it's a lot of stress for a rookie quarterback for sure.
Is it forgive my ignorance on this, but like when the Bears make a lot of moves in free agency and people are starting to speculate on sports cards or anything like that, do people get like more interest in Caleb Williams cards because you're like, oh wow. I mean, not only that, but like Ben Johnson gets hired, you rebuild the offensive line. Have we seen the price of Caleb Williams cards skyrocket?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's all, again, that's where the aspect of why so many people are getting into it now versus when we were doing it when we were younger, right? We did it more about the teams or the players that we grew up with wanting to become, right? I think today is a lot more like a stock market in terms of sports cards, right? Everyone's trying to play that and trying to not only for their own personal collection, but obviously for future value. So yes, all that definitely goes in hand when you're talking about card values, right? I think Caleb is pretty much stable right now in terms of that. I think there's an upward
Yeah.
trajectory there, right? I mean, if the Bears get into the playoffs this year, his cards are going to go through the roof, even much higher, right? But then it's that sustained success for future, right, of the card as well. And that goes for any player, really, in any team. But yeah, I mean, if someone gets hurt or something like that, the card value is not going to be what it was when someone bought it, per se, right? But yeah, that definitely goes into it. And that's why I enjoy obviously doing cards as well as, obviously I'm a big Bears fan, but it goes hand in hand when you're evaluating those things. And then who are the draft picks, right, that are going to be coming out this year. I think it gets a lot more people involved in sports on that level of hearing about the moves, what's going to happen. And then people are going to make their judgments on these top picks, right?
Yeah.
I
Well,
think that.
let me ask you real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Because I mean, obviously, when the Bears went out there and made all these moves, it now made an opportunity. Like, it wouldn't be ridiculous to take Ashton Genty, and I think as Bears fans, we selfishly want him to go to the Bears because he's a great talent and all that stuff. But when you look at a player like that, are there teams that you're looking at where it's like, oh, if he goes to the Giants, it's not going to be as great as if he goes to the Raiders? It's like, so is somebody like outside of being a Bears fan, is somebody who's speculating on Ashton Genty card futures, is there like a team outside of the Bears where you're like, I hope he goes there because that value of that card is going to go up?
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders with Pete Carroll, again, it's the scheme too, right? You have to look at the scheme. But initially, right off the bat, Ashton Genty is going to be a name, right? Regardless of how he's going to perform at the beginning of the year, because you still have, 4 months ahead. But those cards are going to be selling right now, right? When he gets drafted, and then people are going to be buying the cards and selling the cards. So I think he's going to start off at a higher level. And then obviously based on scheme, what that value is going to, appreciate or depreciate, right? For me, I mean, I think the Raiders would be a good fit for him. The Giants, I think, would probably not be so well for him, just because of what they have currently and then their quarterback situation, right? The Raiders are in the kind of the same boat, but I think they're more stable with the outlook versus the Giants, right? But yeah, I mean, totally. People are going to speculate on where he's going to end up, but in the initial phase of buying the card, it's still going to be starting off at a good level, right? In terms of just his name, right? His notoriety, basically.
That makes a lot of sense. I know I've been joking that he's probably going to go to the Giants, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just, setting myself up because I don't want to be disappointed if he doesn't end up with the Bears and be like, well, we didn't expect this anyways. What about Travis Hunter? That's an interesting one to me because he is a guy who has two-way potential. I don't even know that we've figured out whether he's going to play offense, defense. Is he going to play both? Is there a team? Because I could see him going to New England. He could end up with the Giants. Is there a spot that's preferable for him?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Giants is a good pick too. New England, I think, would be great for with Vrabel and what he wants to do, being a two-way player. In terms of his value and what his future is going to lie ahead, it's, to be honest with you, unless you're, a quarterback or a running back or a wide receiver, those cards are always going to appreciate based on skill level, right? Skill positions. So it's the same thing when you look at drafting people. Ryan sets his based on, defensive end. What's the priority? And you can kind of correlate that to sports card market, right? So on players that aren't in a skill role or skill position or high end, people are just going to purchase those cards based on the liking of the player or the team, right? Not necessarily what the value is going to be, 2 years from now, right? Really, you want to look at quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, teams that are consistently in the playoffs or winning Super Bowls. And then you have all your supplemental players, right? That people just collect because they like the team or the player, not necessarily looking for an investment in terms of a card.
No, that makes sense. And that's what worries me. Like I like Cam Ward, but I fear like if he goes to Tennessee, it's like Tennessee, like who roots for the Titans? You know what I'm saying? Like nobody likes the Titans. I'm just joking. Our producers love the Titans.
Yeah.
But like I think that being in Tennessee, that doesn't impact him at all, though, right? Because like if he's good, if he comes out and has a Jaden Daniels type season, it doesn't matter the team he plays for because like people just love the guy.
Because and then he also changes the culture of the team, right? And the aspect of the people that are rooting for that team per se. But definitely he could change that organization, right? If he hits, for sure. Absolutely. But again, that's speculation, right? So that's where this whole thing of buying cards when they get drafted, anticipating what they can and can't do in the future. A lot of people, look at it and I'm going to buy these top 3 quarterbacks, and one of them is about to be successful, right? One of them has to be successful. That's how everyone kind of envisions that, but it doesn't always work out that way, as you know. How many quarterbacks did the Bears draft, right? Thinking they were going to be the next coming of Jim McMahon or something like that, right? But yeah, it's definitely a gaming the system, trying to play, and you have so many different levels of the market of why people are collecting, right? There's so many different areas that people really stick to and look for, and what they're trying to do and with their cards, right?
No, it's true. And I remember a number of years ago, I was filming a pilot for NFL.com and NFL media about cards. And we would go out there, we do the rookie premiere, and we go out to a card show and all that stuff. And I remember it was the year that everybody was trying to get Trey Lance cards. Nobody wanted, and Justin Fields, whatever. Nobody wanted Justin Fields cards. Everybody wanted Trey Lance. And I remember arguing with people being like, Justin Fields is way better than Trey Lance, and you guys are being ridiculous. And it's not even going to be close. I guess Trey Lance still in the NFL, sort of. Justin Fields, obviously landing with a new team with the New York Jets. How are people feeling about him? Because this feels like an opportunity before this season starts to go out there and fire in on some Justin Fields.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, I would definitely. And then you have your collectors that were Bear fans or really believed in Justin that bought a lot of Justin cards, right? And hopefully they didn't get rid of them when the trade happened. And that's the other thing is players get traded, right? So some collectors are collecting because of their love of the team, and some people are collecting to make money, right? So you have a lot of those cards that are out there. But for sure, I think Justin has the capability of putting up good numbers. He's a dual threat quarterback, and that's always good for value, right? As in terms of stats. I think he's in a good spot in the Jets, to be honest with you. I'm happy for him. I think he can definitely do some damage and put in the right scheme. And then he's reuniting with his wide receiver Wilson, right? He played with him and
Wilson. Yeah, they played at Ohio State.
So he already has somebody he has a connection with. So yeah, I think he could have a breakout kind of season, reinventing himself, right, in a new area. And then you have the New York market, right?
Yeah,
which is always never a bad thing to be in terms of that, in terms of marketing and things like that, because that plays into it as well too. You can relate it really, I guess, to make it easy for everyone to kind of relate. jersey sales, right? You can look at
Yeah.
it the same way as a sports card, right? Based on that type of activity of what people are doing or purchasing at any given time in the market.
Yeah, it's so funny. I was actually just looking to see if I had a Justin Fields card close, but I have my Ben
Oh, you
Johnson
got
here
the
with me.
nice
I got another Ben Johnson one. I know you. This is my favorite one. This one I know I had close. Sorry,
superstars. Yeah, that came
yeah,
out good.
that came out really well. So I have apparently moved on from Justin Fields because I don't have his cards close. I still have them. I never got rid of them. I'm still a huge believer. There was some kid who was on the social media today who was like, I'm still upset that the Bears traded Justin Fields. And you're like, you know what? Like, I'm still upset that they tore down old Comiskey Park, but at the same time, you got to move on. Like,
You got to move on. Yeah.
what are you going to do?
Listen, and that's where you got to separate your emotionals from the reality, right? Listen, Justin was a great guy, but at the end of the day, the situation wasn't perfect for him, right? The coaching wasn't perfect for him either at certain times, but he was given the opportunity. No one could say he didn't have the chance, right, to do what he wanted to do. But look, he has a talent. He's a talented athlete, plain and simple, hands down. He's an athlete, right? Now, what he can do with those gifts that he has, that's on him, right? To kind of put on the field.
Yeah, I can listen. I'm happy to have the conversation, and I'll be the first one to admit, like, you know what? Justin Fields did not walk into a great spot, and the Bears were in transition. And you know what? If he had been drafted this year or last year, as opposed to when he was drafted, who knows what could have happened for him? But unfortunately, it was just one of those things that and it happens to a lot of guys. And I was talking about, God, I've done so many shows today, Mike. I can't even remember if I said it on this one, but talking about like Jim McMahon, where, oh, you know what? I was talking about JJ McCarthy. Like, JJ McCarthy didn't throw the ball a lot in college. So now we're going to get an opportunity to see what he can do in the NFL. By the way, I will tell everybody right now, when I go to card shows and I'm going around and I'm purchasing cards, I'm scooping up all these JJ McCarthys. Because for me, it's very similar to a sense of like fantasy football, of like wanting to be in there before everybody else. I think that when you look at JJ McCarthy, you have an opportunity. I think that the floor is Brock Purdy. Look at what Brock Purdy has done with the 49ers.
I agree.
I think that's what the worst possible outcome for JJ McCarthy is going to be Brock Purdy. And whenever you have somebody who's coming from the Mike Shanahan coaching tree, which includes Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, KOC, even Matt LaFleur, that your quarterbacks will be at this level. Even Jordan Love is part of this as well. Like, okay, fine. Like, Jordan Love's fine. Like, he's not, I don't think that I know that the media and all these people love to be like, it's his sixth year. Like, for crying out loud. Like, he is who he is. Him and Brock Purdy are like, we know who they are. Hey, let's see if we know who they are. They're fine. They're good quarterbacks. They'll get their team to the playoffs. Are they elite level game changers? Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's ever going to happen for them. But I think JJ McCarthy comes in as a guy. So when I'm going through and I'll start hitting up some of these shows soon, we should hook up. I don't know when you're coming back out here, but like, we got to go. JJ McCarthy. I hate to say it because I know he's a Viking and I shouldn't say this. I should go on the shows for my old Vikings TikTok buddies and pump up JJ McCarthy. The Vikings fans.
He's a local Illinois kid, so you're good. You know, at the end of the day, I agree with you. I think he's in a good position, especially in Minnesota. I think he has two skill position weapons, right, on the outside. I think at the end of the day, he's in a good position. You're making a good hedge. You're hedging, right, at the end of the day.
100%. Oh, yeah.
And what he did with Sam Darnold, I mean, come on. The guy was, you know what I mean? Like, if you can do that with Sam Darnold, everyone gave up on Sam Darnold. How many teams? He was in Carolina, the Jets, and then he goes to Minnesota and he's throwing 300 yards and 3 touchdowns a game. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of it has to do, you have to be able to do it as an athlete, but coaching matters, scheme matters, right, in the NFL.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like you're almost taking a shot at Sam Darnold, and I don't appreciate that. No, I'm kidding. But the point that you're making is well taken. But if I leave everybody with one thing here today, it's that the Bears are going to go to Arlington Heights. JJ McCarthy is the card that you want, and there's still a lot of fun stuff coming up with the NFL draft. But listen, Mike, I'm gonna close us off here today. Stay with us through the close. I want to thank you for stopping by. I don't know if you had anything for us or not, but if you did, save it for the next time. I want to have you back on. No, I want to have you back on. Stay on through the outro so we can talk. But I want to thank everybody here for joining us this evening. I know that I was late. I apologize for that. I do now have to run off to soccer practice and all that good stuff. But we do appreciate. Want to let everybody know we'll be doing a show on Friday. Matt Bear of Marquee Sports. He's going to join us because we're going to be doing some more work with him and Marquee over the next couple of months and stuff. So we want to bring him on and talk about. He was at Hallis Hall today, so he'll give us some more insight to what Kevin Warren and George McCaskey were talking about today and Ben Johnson. So come back on Friday. And Mike, thank you so much for being here. So until that time, bear down, and Sammy, go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcast. Brought to you by Circa Sports Illinois.